We are about to get Mega Garchomp for the first time in Pokémon GO, and the question inevitably will be, is this Pokémon going to be any good for raid battles compared to Primal Groudon or Mega Rayquaza? That's what this video is going to be exploring. Let's get right into it. Alright, how's it going everyone? It's me, it's Jinsula. I hope you're having a good day and welcome to today's Pokémon GO video. Alright, so we are finally getting the long-awaited debut of Mega Garchomp this weekend, and I have to tell you, I'm really excited about the release of this Mega Evolution. Mega Garchomp is going to be one of my personal favorite Mega Evolutions, and it's definitely going to be a favorite for a lot of other players as well. But what I really want to do is explore whether or not Mega Garchomp is going to be much better than Primal Groudon or Mega Rayquaza when it comes to ground types or dragon types. Unfortunately, I really do not think Mega Garchomp will hold a candle to either of those two other Pokemon. It's going to be one of the top Pokemon, don't get me wrong, but it's not going to be the absolute best, and it's a real shame. In order to best understand this, let's actually go over all three of these Pokemon in detail. Alright, so first, let's talk about Mega Garchomp. This Pokemon is a Dragon and Ground type Pokemon. This gives it weaknesses to Dragon type attacks and Fairy type attacks, and a double weakness to Ice type attacks. It's also going to have a double resistance to Electric type attacks, and a regular resistance to Fire, Poison, and Rock type attacks. This Mega Evolution is going to be weather boosted by windy weather and sunny weather. This means if you want to deal as much damage as you possibly can within a raid battle, then make sure you go out and raid with these weather boosts. Now, the base stats for Mega Garchomp are going to be extremely high. It's going to have a base attack stat of 339, a base defense stat of 222, and a base stamina stat of 239. In terms of the moves that you could have on Mega Garchomp, it's going to be relatively the same as a regular Garchomp. It's going to come with the fast moves Mud Shot or Dragon Tail, and the charge attacks Earthquake, Fire Blast, Outrage, Earth Power, and Sand Tomb. Now, the outright best moves that you can have on Mega Garchomp is going to vary on what kind of Pokemon you're going to be going up against. Like, if it's going to be weak against ground types, you will definitely want to have Mud Shot and Earth Power. But if you're going up against something that's weak against dragon types, then obviously you will want to go with Dragon Tail and Outrage. It really doesn't matter where you're going to be using Mega Garchomp, I still think Mud Shot is going to be the better fast attack. Even if the opponent is not weak against ground types, you can still use it to generate a ton of energy. However, I would opt to go with Dragon Tail and Outrage if you're specifically using Mega Garchomp against another dragon. Overall, Mega Garchomp is a very powerful Mega Evolution. At least when it comes to non-legendary Mega Evolutions, I think it's going to be the very best that's currently available. And I really do think it's going to be worthwhile for you to farm up Mega Energy for this Mega Evolution. Next up, let's talk about Primal Groudon, which is going to be Mega Garchomp's biggest rival when it comes to ground type damage. Something to keep in mind is that Primal Groudon is technically not a Mega Evolution, but it functions just the same. Primal Groudon is going to have a dual typing of ground and fire. This gives it a double weakness to water types and a regular weakness to ground types. It's also going to have a double resistance to electric and regular resistance to bug, fairy, fire, poison, and steel. It's going to be weather boosted by only one weather type, which is of course going to be clear weather. Now, the base stats of Primal Groudon are insanely high. It has a base attack stat of 353, a base defense stat of 268, and a base stamina stat of 218. In terms of the moves that Primal Groudon can have, it can have the fast moves Mud Shot or Dragon Tail, and the charge moves Precipice Blades, Fire Punch, Earthquake, Solar Beam, and Fire Blast. The ideal moves for Primal Groudon is definitely going to be Mud Shot, Precipice Blades, and Fire Punch. Fire Punch is mainly there for type coverage, but Precipice Blades is going to be one of the hardest hitting charge attacks in the game right now. On top of that, it also benefits from a same type attack bonus, so Primal Groudon is going to deal an insane amount of damage with this charge attack. Alright, and finally, let's talk about Mega Rayquaza, which is going to be Mega Garchomp's biggest rival when it comes to dragon type damage. Mega Rayquaza is going to have a dual typing of Dragon and Flying. This gives it a weakness to Dragon type attacks and Fairy type attacks, a double weakness to Ice type attacks, and a regular weakness to Rock type attacks. It's also going to have a double resistance to both Grass and Ground, and a regular resistance to Bug, Fighting, Fire, and Water. Mega Rayquaza is only going to be weather boosted by windy weather, which is of course a very rare weather boost, but it's definitely going to increase this Pokemon's damage. Speaking of which, the base stats for Mega Rayquaza are absolutely insane. It has a base attack stat of 377, a base defense stat of 210, and a base stamina stat of 227. Basically, this is going to be one of those Pokemon that has one of the highest attack stats in the game, so Mega Rayquaza is basically built for a lot of offensive power. On top of that, it also has a sizable defense and stamina as well, which is going to allow it to last in raid battles much longer, especially compared to Mega Garchomp. Now, in terms of the fast attacks that Mega Rayquaza can come with, it's going to be either Dragon Tail and Air Slash, and then the charge attacks that Mega Rayquaza can come with include Outrage, Breaking Swipe, Hurricane, Aerial Ace, Ancient Power, and of course, Dragon Ascent. In terms of Dragon-type raid damage, I would go with Dragon Tail and Outrage, but Breaking Swipe is also a decent move as well. But from everything that I've seen, Breaking Swipe is primarily used for PvP, so you would probably want to go with Outrage instead of Breaking Swipe. It's unfortunately going to have Dragon Ascent locked in because it's a requirement to Mega Evolve it, so you will have to use either Outrage or Breaking Swipe. You won't be able to have both of those charge attacks on Mega Rayquaza at the same time. Alright, so even though Mega Garchomp is going to be one of the best Pokemon in your collection, it's unfortunately not going to be the absolute best when it comes to ground types or dragon types. Those are still going to belong to Primal Groudon and Mega Rayquaza. The reason for that is because those Mega Evolutions are actually quite special compared to regular Mega Evolutions. Why do I say that? Well, think about Primal Groudon for example. It actually gives you a weather boost to all the Pokemon in the raid, even if it is not currently in battle. That is something that's going to be really useful compared to Mega Garchomp, which is only going to give you an attack bonus to the raid party when it is actually out in combat. And that's also going to apply to Mega Rayquaza, which actually has a very similar effect to Primal Groudon. And on top of that, both of those Mega Evolutions deal a lot more damage compared to Mega Garchomp, and they also have some more survivability as well. If you look at these damage charts comparing Mega Garchomp to Primal Groudon and Mega Rayquaza, you will see that both Primal Groudon and Mega Rayquaza are going to be clear number ones. You might as well use Primal Groudon in most of those situations. And then when it comes to Mega Rayquaza, it is currently the absolute best generalist in the game. A Mega Rayquaza with either Dragon type attacks or Flying type attacks is going to be extremely good when it comes to raid DPS. You're not often going to be using Dragon-type raid attackers to begin with, but in a head-to-head comparison between Mega Garchomp and Mega Rayquaza is going to be the absolute king, and it's not even close. So overall, Mega Garchomp is unfortunately not going to be your best option when it comes to ground-type raid DPS or dragon-type raid DPS. However, it is still going to be useful in a handful of situations, mainly because it does have the dual typing of ground and dragon. Think about this, if you're going up against a raid boss that is weak against ground types, but it also has a lot of different attacks that could be very detrimental to Groudon, like let's say a water type attack, well, Mega Garchomp does have that dragon typing, which is going to allow it to resist those attacks just a little bit. That's actually something you should take into consideration when it comes to using Mega Garchomp. On top of that, it's not going to be a far away second place. Like, if you do not have enough Mega Energy to evolve Mega Rayquaza or Primal Groudon, then you could use Mega Garchomp as a really good backup. It's going to give you all of the benefits of a Mega Evolution, and it's still a hard-hitting Pokemon. In other words, it's still valuable to farm up that Mega Energy for Mega Garchomp. There will be one situation or another that you will end up using it, and that's something you should keep in mind. But yeah, in any case, that's going to be it for this video. Now, I would love to know your thoughts regarding Mega Garchomp, Primal Groudon, or Mega Rayquaza. Are you using any of these three Pokemon? Are you planning to use Mega Garchomp in raids or PvP or whatever situation? Let me know in the comments down below, and let's have a great discussion. And thank you so much for making it to this point in the video. If you ended up enjoying it and found it to be informative, make sure you hit that thumbs up button and subscribe if it's your first time here. And don't forget that little bell so you can stay up to date on whenever I upload videos. And I want to give a quick shout out to all of my patrons on Patreon. You make this channel content possible. If you want to support my channel in any way, big or small, then make sure you go and check out the links in the description below. For all my patrons, they get a permanent spot on my in-game friends list. So if you want to interact with me in some way within Pokemon GO, like with remote raids or the friendship system, then make sure you go and check out my Patreon. Also, if you want to support my channel in a non-monetary way, you could do so by following me on social media. My handle is @Jinsula, and I'm on the following platforms. Alright, and that's going to be it. I'm Jinsula. Be safe, have fun, love yourself, and I'll catch you all later.